What up is Marcus with Dynasty Football Dads, where we give you Dynasty Daily. I'm just going to give you a couple-minute overview on the Goff and Stafford trade. Of course, that happened over the weekend. And so, ultimately, a lot of things don't really change in fantasy with this trade. Stafford's value goes up slightly because he's going to have better weapons. And you might say, well, are Woods and Kupp actually better than Golladay and Jones? But those two are actually free agents right now. We don't know if they're going to be returning back to Detroit. His situation at Detroit, we don't know how good that would have actually been. So if you consider those facts, he'll have Woods, Kupp, and Higbee. We don't know if he'll have Everett. He's an unrestricted free agent. And those players, of course, Woods, Kupp, and Higbee, they move up slightly in value because they're going to be a better passing offense. Even Akers will have slightly better value. I think the offense in general is going to be slightly better. So if you have them, let's just say, in your personal rankings, let's just say 15 and 17, then you'd move them up to maybe 13 and 15. They move up a couple spots, but realistically, they don't change that much. On the Detroit aspect of things, it looks like they're going into more of a rebuild. I mean, Goff is still super young. It looks like Quintez Cephus will probably be the wide receiver too, and they'll somehow either draft a wide receiver either in the first or second round, or they'll pick somebody up in free agency. Likely more the draft aspect. It'll be interesting to see who they draft, but Quintez Cephus is the man that probably wins the most out of this because it shows that they are actually going into more of a full rebuild here. So Quintez Cephus, a big winner here. Hawkinson probably stays about neutral. Swift, maybe slight down peg because we don't know how much he's going to be used in the passing game. We knew Stafford dumped off a ton, and we utilized and Swift was utilized a bunch in the passing game. Potentially not so much with Goff. That offense is probably not going to score as much. They're going into a different direction, especially with a new coach and things like that as well. Overall, the trade just in general, I think the Lions win this trade. And the reason for it is, yes, they downgrade at quarterback slightly, which it stinks, but they are going into more of a rebuild. And they knew they weren't going to win with Stafford in the next couple of years. Stafford is getting older. And we talk about they pretty much got 2 firsts and a number 1 overall pick type of caliber player. Now, we know what Goff is. I know that he's not going to be ever a top 10 quarterback, but still, he's a viable quarterback that will have more touchdowns than interceptions and can bridge the gap here over the next couple of years before they find maybe their true future. So in that case, getting 2 firsts with Goff, I think that's going to be a huge positive step in the right direction, depending on how that team fills out and everything like that. But overall, I think the Rams really made an interesting trade here. They gave up 2 firsts and Goff. Now, if you would have said they got Deshaun Watson instead, I would have been super pumped, super happy. But they didn't get Deshaun Watson. They got Stafford, who I think is a good quarterback. I really do. I just don't know if that really puts them into Super Bowl caliber levels. You're talking about they had a 1 in 16 chance, I think. Now down to 1 in 13. I mean, realistically, you're putting your chances of Super Bowl next year from maybe 4% to 8% or 4 to 10%. Let's say they get 12%. I mean, yeah, you triple your odds from 4 to 12%, but realistically, you don't have any first, and you haven't had first since 2016, and now you don't have first till like 2024. It's just when you don't draft players, you're always having to pay a little bit higher money through there. Sometimes you get cap issues. You're going to eventually have to sign some more of these players, these top-end players, even though I know Aaron Donald signed. It's just you're making sometimes a little bit of a mess of things. But they are thinking they have a 2-3 year window, and so they're going to go all in now. And I think after you see these Woods and Kupp and Higbee contracts, and you could see a huge full rebuild in like 2023, at the end of 2023. So I think they have 2-3 seasons max, and then that whole ship is going to be just destroyed. Like I really think that they are you can see they're putting all their money where their mouth is right now. So overall, nothing super changed with fantasy on this. Slight upgrades for the Rams players, slight downgrades for everyone besides Quintez Cephus in Detroit. We'll see and Jared Goff. I guess I can mention Jared Goff. Jared Goff, slight downgrade for him as well. He's not going to have as many weapons. and they're not going to use him as well. I mean, the Rams offense was very efficient, stuff like that. They're not going to be able to use him like that. So slight downgrade for Goff. I mean, he's not even a top 10 quarterback anyways, but just see him as the quarterback 17 for the rest for his career. Maybe up into he'll float into the QB 12s at 10 range a year or two, and he'll probably go back down to QB 18, 19, 20 in a year. And he'll just kind of float into those QB2 ratios, and that's kind of where he'll just be for his career for at least the next couple of years. I'm trying to think if there's any other fantasy really aspects of this, and I can't think of any off the top of my head. I mean, Detroit, depending if Detroit drafts some wide receivers and gets a free agent or something like that, that would change this aspect for a little bit of Goff, but we know what Goff is. And so I would, if anything, buy low on Quintez Cephus or anybody that's panicking on any Detroit player and buy now, because I definitely think that they're going to continue and regain they're going to get pretty close to their value that they had pre-Goff trade and when they had Stafford. So, all right, this is Marcus Dynasty Football Dads. Hopefully you didn't care for the rambling. Please subscribe. We're doing daily videos. All right, take care.